What is going on, students? It's Devlin Cassidy, aka The Scholar, and welcome back to another Cardfight Vanguard premium deck profile. Today we're going to be talking about one of the newest decks to come out in the fray, and what I think is personally one of the best high roll decks this format in Revenger, Raging Form Dragon. The new Crest, everything is fantastic, and I am so looking forward to covering this deck for you all today. But before we do, if you guys still need any cards, anything like that to prep for this BCS season, please go shop with my team sponsor and friends down in Kingslayer Cards. At www.kingslayercards.com. Use a promo code SCHOLAR, save 5% off on your order. Not only does it help support me, but it supports the channel as well, and most importantly gets you cardboard and supports one of the best stores in the game. So please go ahead and do that. And you still need any amazing TCG accessories like the mat I'm using here, or any deck boxes, sleeves, bags, the whole 9 yards, please go shop with my friends out at dankritual.com. They are a fantastic product sponsor, and I hope you enjoy their product as much as I do. So first, we're starting off here, of course, is with the Revenger named Fritz. Comes in the Stride deck set. Play it for the aesthetic. If not, you have to play full bow because you're playing a Ren deck. And then we got, of course, one of the OG Raging Form Dragon. So this is the card that lets you get into the Crest along with Raging Wrapped. But the reason you can get away with playing one of it is for a really cheeky reason. But this card just helps you enable going first, getting you a very strong high roll turn, which I'll display in a combo later. So do not worry about that at all. You got some really cool lines here to come up with you. But yeah, this is your Crest enabler, just so that way you guys know. And then, of course, we got to play 3 copies of the good old Raging Form Dragon for the V series. So this card is really good. This card is the better Raging Form because you get to stride into Chain Ranker, copy its effects, and then you get the following. So you don't get the on place effect unless you're at 4 damage when you ride it, but on place CB1, call a grade 2 or less card from your deck. You play 8 cards in your deck that will call you more cards. So every time you retire 3 for his auto skill at the end of the battle he attacks, you're technically plussing 1, or you're only minusing 1 from board, so it's really good. And then you get to rip 3, eat 3, and then re-ride a card from your hand as stand. Good old gaming here. So really good. 1 grade 3 with Revenger, of course. You can't do any ride down shenanigans or anything like that. But Raging Form here is really good. I mean, if your opponent gives you 5 damage and you're going into your stride turn, that combo alone can kill them. But the reason we can get away with playing one of the OG Raging Form is because of this really old card that they thankfully reprinted, because this card was getting a little pricey in Revenger Slay Hex Dragon. A Revenger Slay Hex Dragon is fantastic. Like, there's no card that I would rather play in this spot, maybe except for the Legion, but that's for people's different builds. I'm here for consistency. The Legion gives you a better grind game. I'm talking about, of course, the Revenger Legion with Diablos Abyss and Phantom Blaster Abyss and Blaster Dark Revenger Abyss, of course. But Slay Hex Dragon on place, you get to CB1 and discard a card from your hand. You get to ride a Raging Form from your deck, and then well, I think it's actually any Revenger. Hold on, let me look at this. No, it's 1 Raging Form. I was lying, I was capping. No, but it's 1 Raging Form. And you get to ride the Raging Form and then add this card back to your hand. So that's really cool because it enables your stride ability when you go to your Raging Wrap turn, which we'll cover when we get to the G zone. But you get that superior stride effect out the gate because it's a level 3 that returns to your hand. So it's really good, really powerful. Do not sleep. And then to round out the last 2 spots, we're playing 2 copies of the Fall. Fall comes in the trial deck. It's really good. Just being able to have a good out to Link Joker, kind of like when they lock your board, you can like restand some stuff and shenanigans. So he's really strong. Reverse lets you essentially choose 2 of your stood rear guards, lock them. If you have 2 or more locked cards, or 5 cards in your damage zone, you get to stand this unit. So this card's really strong. This is really best on Chain Ranker, especially if you have like a guard restrict active first, so then your opponent has to guard oddly, then you get to restand him after putting some triggers and stuff on him. So really good card. Helps you kind of like finish out the last of the turn. But that's going to do it for the grade 3s. Now on to the grade 2s. Of course, we're playing the best grade 2 in the deck, Tartu. Sad that I don't have the foils. I remember playing this deck a long time ago, and the foils on these were so pretty, actually, out of I think it was the Clan Collection 2 one where it had like the parallel foiling, kind of like how Yu-Gi-Oh has their prismatic secret rares. I love that foiling pattern for some reason. But yeah, so Tartu's fantastic. On place Soul Blast 1, you get to call a grade 1 Revenger from your deck, but this one does not have to be in the same column, which is really good because the next one, the card I'm about to showcase, forces you to call in the column. But she's a 10k. She kind of does everything you need to do. At the end of the turn, though, you gotta kill that unit. So it's really good, though. Helps you actually play like really good board control with Rinnel. and it's powerful here. So do not sleep on Tar2 at all. Then I am playing 4 copies of Mana. Mana here lets you do some really cool things. Mana is actually absolutely free, and the fact that they reprinted this card for the Revenger deck is huge because this rare was like impossible to find. It was out of like BT16, and this card was so good. The thing that stinks about it is it is an 8K, so if you're forced to ride it, you can get very punished, especially against like Katrina and other decks that can rush very early. Staying on that smaller body is kind of a hindrance to you. But the fact that you get to call a card for free and then actually call that grade 1 to the same column as it and then tuck it to the bottom of the deck at the end of the turn is really good. So the fact it doesn't necessarily kill it is a stronger factor to it because you get more grade 1s in the deck, more Revenger call targets when you hit more of these cards to loop during your Raging Form turn. So Mana's fantastic. And then the last grade 2 in the deck, and I think the one that actually everybody needs to be playing at least 3 of, but I love this card at 4 of, especially in the more budget heavy build, because this card enables your full combo going first. This is Revenger Darkblessed Angel. When she's retired, you can counterblast 1, call a grade 1 Revenger, and to rearguard. So this fills your board back up to 3. When you eat 3 of your rear guards, she'll replace herself with a grade 1, and then you get another go ahead with Wrapped. But we'll get to the Wrap combo here soon, so do not worry about that. But Darkblessed Angel, fantastic card. 4 grade 1s. We're playing 4 copies of Rakia. Rakia helps you fill up your board if you're behind on getting Raging Forms or going second. Actually, this card is really good because you get to call a grade 1 from the deck that you can CB1 and search another Raging Form with. So if you're on the V Raging Form, you help follow up that strength there really well. So yeah, Rakia is really, really good. It does call it as rest though, so like you can call it behind the Vanguard, worst case scenario, just because you want your columns to be actually pretty effective in this deck since you only get a few swings with them before you're just channeling Vanguard over and over again. So yeah, but Rakia, fantastic card. Also you can Soul Blast 2 and revive a grade 2 to its column, so you can revive a Darkblessed Angel or anything like that if you had to pitch that or you had to like heal it out early, something like that. That's obviously a perfect fine bout. Then we're playing 4 copies of Rinnell. Rinnell's insane. This card is kind of like Craven Claw for the deck, for those that play Chaos Breaker, but he has a on-hit effect of when this attack or the attack it boosts hits a Vanguard. You have to look at the top 3 cards out of Revenger from your deck to your hand, and then you put the rest on the bottom in any order. Top 3 though, not top 5, not as cracked as Craven Claw. But then when he's retired by your card's ability, you can Soul Blast 1 and your opponent chooses one of their rear guards and retires it. So this card can be really good, help like mitigate some like early rush. If you have to go first, and you can like smack down any advantage that they had and make them minus on the board, which is really good. So Rinnell's really good for that. Actually a lot of good application there. And then I'm playing 2 copies of Revenger of Vigor Mar. This is an old rare out of GBT06, so when Raging Wrapped was first introduced. Again, Counterblast 1. If you have a grade 3 Revenger Vanguard with Revenger in his card name, you can search your deck for a card with the same name that is on your Vanguard and put it into your hand and shuffle your deck. So really, really good card. It has a counterblast, so a card with Revenger. So sometimes if you're very trigger heavy in your damage zone, sometimes you may not be able to activate this effect. So please be wary of that. But yeah, this card's crazy. Just helping you fill up on V Raging Form, so that way that combo turn is like more consistent and can kill your opponent, and you get like insane advantage because of the drive checks is so worth it. The last Revenger we play in the deck for the main grade 1s is Revenger Darkbond Trumpeter. This card you can kind of forego. I know it's like really expensive right now. It's like $19 I think the last time I checked on TCG Player. But this card helps you fill up your board. You get to counterblast 1 when it's placed on Vanguard or Rearguard. You can choose a grade 0 or less card with Revenger in its card name, call it as rest. So if you're like low on Revenger names or like want to thin out the deck a little bit, even though like you're forced to call a trigger, like you can still do it. So it's worth it. And then 1 Elementaria Sanctitude. These come in the deck set. This is a premium staple. Please play this card. For sure. But yeah. Card really, 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 really strong. Then we play 4 copies for the triggers, 4 copies of Grim Revenger. You need it for the name more so than like its actual application. Like you could be playing the defensive draw crits here. I know there's some builds that are splitting up these trigger lineups here because we're still playing 4 copies of the strike crit. I know they're cutting 1 of each to play 2 of the defensive draw crit, which is fine if you don't run into yourself like having an issue with Revengers, because I mean your deck is pretty chock full of them. Everything in the grade 1 slot minus the Elementaria has Revenger. Everything in the deck minus the Elementaria has Revenger in his card name for the main for the regular units, normal units. So yeah, but again, we just like to max consistencies. But if you want to cut those for the defensive draws, I can't remember their name. I think it's the Cleric crits. Go ahead for it. This is perfectly viable. And then 3 PGs. If you didn't, I can't remember how much the Macular PG is, but if you wanted to play another main deck PG and then like up your crit count to be a little more aggressive, you can definitely go ahead and do that as well. So you can play like a triple of all the crits, play 9 crit, and then the 2 draw here. Just because like the Macular is searchable again off the rental. That's why we play a certain like ratio in our heal lineup. So again, like the Macular draw PGs though are fine. They come with the trial deck. So like I'm just trying to keep this like a really good budget option for you all. But like there's some innovation and plays the way, especially if you're a Shadow Paladin fan, that you can build this deck, and why I give these options out to you all, so that way you guys can go ahead and experiment, right? Because like this deck is still very new, not fully solved yet. Has some tops though with top challenges and everything. So this deck has proven to be a powerhouse, and I can't wait to see, you know, how everybody innovates with it this BCS season. But then finally for the heals, before we get to our discussion, is we play one of the Revenger heal. You can play 2 of this just because, again, Rental searching heals is very powerful. But I do like Heal Guardian still this meta a lot, and I think that because of the power rush, such as decks like Katrina, Victor, other high roll decks, that like you kind of need to stave off sometimes from going to 4. If they're rushing you really hard, especially like going first. Like there's some decks will just slam board and like try to push you knowing you're going first, that you're not like reliant on that Raging Form turn. So yeah, that's a strategy, but again, really good here. And just being able to get the resources back too, because you eat through Counterblast in this deck. And then the last card, you love him, you hate him, the Overtrigger. You play the blue one. The purple one also is a very interesting card you could play, just because it gives you another rear guard, so like, and it's a guaranteed heal. But this gives you a crit, and you get to add a card back from the drop zone, so you can like add a heal, add a PG, add a little bit better cards. I think the blue OT is still the best one in this deck in particular, but we shall see. Time will tell. But yeah, the blue OT is what I've been rocking. But now we get to go to the best part of the deck, which is of course the G zone where all the homies hang out. But without further ado, let's get rocking and rolling here. So of course you play Harmonics Messiah. I'm going to show off the ugly common because just to prove to you all it gets reprinted. So you have access to this card. This card is very accessible now. Please take the advantage to go grab it. You getting the free 20k Guardian ticket is really important in this format. As decks get faster, you need that free guard. So pick up your Harmonics today. There's my plug for Harmonics Messiah. Then I play 4 copies of Raging Wrath. Raging Wrath, we gotta talk about this one. So it gives you the Superior Stride effect, and then it gives you the Crest. If you have a Raging Form Dragon on Vanguard but no imaginary gifts, you can pitch a grade 3 some cost of your hand. So that's why the Hex Slay is very important. You get to stride into this card, and then the Crest makes his ability that's typically Counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1, discard 2 Abyss Dragons. Like, how taxing is that cost? That cost tax is absolutely crazy. Into just retire 3 rearguards with a Revenger in their card name, and then also keeps the limit break active no matter the damage. So literally is a limit break enabler. So like that card even shot down less in price. But yeah, you have to play the Raging Wraps here. You have to flip up a card with Revenger though to get like the gifts and stuff. So it is why we are playing the Revent. Just because there's some times where you only get like off like 2 wraps, but then you have 2 wraps in the G zone and you haven't found your V Raging Form. So like you can do another wrapped turn. Because wrap turn still gets you 5 cards. Like you stride, eat 3 rear guards, but the cool thing about going first is that if you find the Dark Bless Angel, you can wrap your opponent 3 times, and then this just becomes a flip fodder for what's his name? For Dum Head, Chainranker. Yeah, sorry, my bad. But yeah, that's it. That's it for the Revenger strides. On in here into other good boys. Play 2 copies of Chainranker. This card's really good. It's actually kind of scary how good this card has stayed to be. But yeah, Chainranker, really good. Copies, again, like heart card effects, and then he has a guard restrict that if you have 3 grade 1 or less units on the Guardian Circle at GB3, your opponent has to guard with 3 or more cards from hand. Crystal Luster is better in comparison to the 2, but the fact that that is still a guard restrict is really strong. Do not sleep on that, because like there's some patterns where you have to, you get 2 attacks essentially that would be like, hey, guard 3 or more, and your opponent really is not incentivized to do that unless like they're in kill distance, and then you start shredding their hand, and then you have more attacks with Raging Form. So yeah, this deck's really good. This deck's really good, especially on the high roll. But yeah, that's Chainraker for you. Gets printed in the trial deck. I know he's still like 15, but like again, man, you pick up a deck set for like $60, and then you upgrade it for like $60 more, and then you have like a competitive deck, like $120 for a really good premium deck. Say less. I'd do that in a heartbeat. Same reason though we play here Crowcraw. Crowcraw, really good card. The fact that he helps you in your Link Joker matchups too is really insane. It can be like a free 6 cards. Can also, like, you know, and like different like control settings too, just help like mitigate your opponent control their board. He's really good. He's really good. So I love the fact that you can get a restand and then have him get 10k and all that good stuff. So Crowcrow here is really good to be able to do that. Then you got a player, even though she's like not as good in this deck, Morfessa. Morfessa is still just being a guard restrict if you have Writ 10. It's crazy. Then you can activate her skill, of course, to help your triggers get to you to Writ 10. But there's some times where it's like, hey, if I just have 15k and another crit, and I have all these force markers on my board after Raging Form, it's pretty good. So yeah, we take those with Morfessa all day, every day. And then for G-Guards, Griever because it recycles cards back into our deck, and then Plotmaker because it's free. You can play some others if you wanted, but like, to me, there's no real incentive to do so, just because I think these are the best G-Guardians in Shadow Paladin. But hey, I could be wrong. Crow and Andrew and all the homies that play Shadows for realsies can check me in the comments, but that's just my thoughts. And I can be wrong, and guess what? I have no problem being told I'm wrong, because I will either agree with you that I'm wrong once I have to look at it further, or I will still stand on business and say I'm right. But that's just is how it is. Yeah. So now we're going to go on into a little combo segment, just when I'm talking about explaining how the wrapped turn works. So, of course, you're going to be having that, say you have this in hand, this, and then yeah. So let's say this is how you let's say you get to it like so, right? So we have the wrapped, we're on Raging Form, we got this in hand, we got the Dark Blast, we got a mana, and let's say we got a hooligan rear guard like that, and we got some damage. Let's give us a draw PG here. Ooh, you guys can't see that. Ooh, all right, put it there. This will make sense. Trust the process. We'll actually give ourselves a second damage, just because we might need it. So let's say that we got this going on, and we have Arakia. So dope. Call the mana. The mana is gonna grab us a Renal. Call the Dark Bless. Call the Rakia. And then you'll get a Dark Bond Trumpeter call randomly, and then you go on your stride. So we get the Raging Wrapped, we get the Crest, we get 2 imaginary gift forces. You always do want to put a force on the Vanguard, just so that way when you are checking power over and over again, he does something here that's pretty good. So yeah, there's 2 schools of thought too. You always can put it on the Dark Bless column, since that's the one you're going to be swinging first. And then power up this column over here, which is a perfectly fine strategy. So we can start here with 17. Swing here for your new number. This is 28. Because of the crest makes the 11k a 13k base, so it's 28, 38, 44. You do your triple drive here. Let's just say we get 3 random cards, just because we don't want to have our drive checks obscure what's going on. But we have 3 cards here. Then we eat 3 like this. And get to restride. This one keeps the same property, so it is just drive -2, because technically it says the card. So you're not getting a drive minus the previous wrapped. You're just getting drive -1, so you're keeping that power up there. And then, of course, Dark Bless is going to trigger. She's going to call another grade 1. In this case, she can call honestly this if you want to set up for next turn, because the strides gain the same properties. There are some times where you just need the follow-up, so you can search for the Raging Form, which I like to do if I have the extra CB, if I was given that early and able to play through. This just gives me the follow-up for the following turn. And then I swing this. It didn't hit any triggers, but I'll swing this. Swing wrapped. Wrap this to a twin drive here. And then I eat these. I can activate the rental effect if I need to. This goes away. I restride into a last wrapped, and this wrapped swings for also 2 drive checks again. So if you have 2 CB open, and you have one of them being a Revenger, also I think I can CB the Maclear. I don't know if I did or not, but you have to CB the Revenger for this one. You get 8 cards in hand for pitching 1 grade 3 and some cards and getting some good advantage there. So if you hit really good on your drive checks, you can actually like cause a lot of pressure for your opponent. But that's how crazy this deck can be. And I think people need to put some respect on Raging Form's name this format, as it can do a lot of crazy stuff. But that is going to do it for the profile today. If you guys like this profile, make sure you guys go down and like, comment, subscribe, do all that good stuff. Let me know what your thoughts are on Raging Form for this upcoming format. I think it's a really good deck. I think there's still innovation on this deck that you can do. My list by far is not the most perfect one. There are way better players in the Shadow Paladin universe than I am, because I'm not a Shadows player. But Raging Form has always been a good aesthetic for me, and I've really always loved this deck. But with that being said, again, if you still guys need anything, go shop with my amazing sponsors between Kingslayer Cards and Dank Ritual. And with that being said, I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day and a wonderful rest of your week. I love you all. God bless and take care.